What is going on here with Michael Swanson, the man, the myth? Mike, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
All right, my name's Mike. Like Anthony said, the man, the myth. I've been hitting the doors lately. So yeah, we're just here to talk business.
Yeah,
mainly.
Yeah, of course. Mike, you recently had a reel on Instagram kind of go viral. Can you walk us through the interactions you've had with like a couple comments and that homeowner too? So can you walk us through that homeowner process? Like how was that pitch? How was that presentation? Was it pretty easy or was it a hard one? I mean, it was a good reel. It got like, how many views was it?
I think it got like 37,000.
37,000.
Like 1,000 likes, a lot of comments. Some of you guys in the comments are brutal.
Yeah. Can you talk about like how you, because obviously if you read the comments, there's a lot of negative comments. There's a lot of good comments too. The negative comments hurt you at all or anything like that? Or how do you like?
So obviously people are going to have their opinions.
Of course.
And that's, just life. Everyone's going to comment on something, give you, their peace of mind of it. But I don't really, honestly let that affect me or, my attitude towards my work because I enjoy my work. I enjoy helping people out. So obviously these people don't help people out on a regular basis, as you could see.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to understand that, I'm here for serving others. That's my job. That's my role. So people could have, whatever they want to say, negative or positive. I mean, I look at both sides. I don't just like dish out the negative because, building characters, it's important to look at, the negative side of things and understand, this is what people think. And obviously, during the pitch, those people were very kind, very polite. It was a pretty good pitch. A lot of people commented on it, said that. Obviously, some people had their own opinions on it.
Yeah, so like a lot of the comments, if like you look at them, a lot of people had an opinion that kind of portrays how the industry's looked at by like an onlooker that isn't actually with us or hasn't had a person that they know personally work in the door-to-door space. Like a lot of comments there were very negative and like one guy was like, "Oh, you're the scum of the earth. Like if you come to my door like that," what do you say? Like if you come to the
one guy said if you come to the door, like I'll just lead you on at the very end, back out. I mean, I have a pretty good read on people. I can understand if you want my service or not.
Yeah.
Obviously, the service that we're providing to people, you have to qualify for. It's not like the service that we're doing, everybody's going to qualify for it. There's different policies. There's a lot of back end work that over the months I've had to learn, and unfortunately, I mean, I try to help out as many people as I can. But, they're put in a situation where I might not be able to help them. So that's how I look at it. Understand that in this industry, it really just depends on, the type of people you work with.
Of course. So like if you have a homeowner that's like that, pretty quickly that they don't want what you're offering. It isn't like you're rolling around trying to get a homeowner to buy pest control or to buy an alarm or you wash their windows. Like you are actually trying to help these homeowners. And it isn't as if like they have to actually give you money, It isn't like you're walking around like, "Hey, please pay me some money." Like, "Hey, you want this done, this done, this done? It'll be $100." Like you aren't doing that, right? So a lot of people, they don't look at it like that. And like you might have homeowners that just open up and instantly are like not interested because they are already programmed that you want their money. But that's not the case, right? Like
no, it's not the case at all.
You actually want to help them and help them to where like they don't have to pay $20,000 and replace the roof, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 and replace their roof. You're helping them, and their homeowner's insurance is the one that actually is the one who is paying you. It isn't the homeowner. So it's pretty cool that this is like one of the only works in this kind of industry where the person you're trying to pitch isn't the one that's having to pay for what you're offering. Like who you're pitching, who you're door knocking, isn't paying.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the industry that's not the case.
Yep.
So you're actually trying to help these people. You just have to have a homeowner that is kind of open to at least hearing you out. And if a homeowner hears you out, you usually like get up on their roof and look at it, right?
Yeah.
So like you just have to get a homeowner to hear you out. And once they hear you out, it's usually pretty easy, right?
Like you said, in this industry, it is pretty much all dependent on, the insurance is the one who's paying for this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the homeowner, they pay for that homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I look at it as we're holding their insurance responsible.
Yeah. Holding them accountable.
Exactly. To the homeowner. A lot of people I saw in the comments are looking at that like this is a scam. I'm like, no, it's not.
You've been paying your premiums like the past 20 plus years. And it's like if you pay them $2.5 grand a year, that's a lot of money.
Oh,
so utilize that and replace your roof because you have them in case a storm happens.
Exactly. And I just ran into a homeowner yesterday with that. They had no idea that so they were paying, I think, roughly $5,000 in premiums.
Wow, that's a big house.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty decent sized house. It's the insured is with Liberty Mutual.
Mm-hmm.
I was going over their policy with them, and a lot of the policies that they're kind of hard to read. So this is like the one thing that we kind of specialize in is going over, what type of coverage you do have.
Yeah.
They had no idea that they had an endorsement on their policy.
And a lot of roofers do not understand how to actually read through the policy and be able to truly help your homeowner out, because a lot of roofers will be, oh, you have damage, you'll get it paid, and all you have to pay is $1,000. But in this case, what happened? So you looked at their policy to actually help out these homeowners.
Yeah, so they had no idea actually, and they were talking to me. They're like, "Yeah, it's like $5,000, like a pretty accurate premium to be paying." I'm like, "No, that's really high. I mean, typically it's like $1,200, $1,500."
Yeah.
So I went over it with them, and they thought they had full coverage, which they unfortunately didn't.
Mm-hmm.
On that endorsement date, it kind of took them down to the ACV coverage.
Yeah.
So the insurance will only pay for a certain percentage. They'll actually prorate like the roof, the house to age, and then give them the cash value for that. Yep. And
like a car.
Exactly. So explaining that to them, they were really thankful for that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we met with their insured as well, and we kind of got them riled up knowing that because they're still paying for the same amount for less.
Just have horrible coverage.
Exactly.
Paying the same amount.
Exactly. So
gotcha.
We got them. I let them know that, and they're actually looking to change their homeowner's insurance and still get full coverage and then pay a lot less.
His the homeowner that reached out to me and called me. So this guy had a homeowner that what time yesterday? It was yesterday morning. I had a homeowner call me, a random number call me, and I was like, okay, it's probably like a random homeowner that I've helped in the past. And this woman answers and is just like, yeah, is this Anthony? I'm like, yeah, who is this? And she's like, your employee, Michael Swanson, was at my house today. And I just want to let you know, he is the best contractor that I've ever had. He's honest. He explained stuff that we didn't know about, and he helped us. He was here at what time were you there yesterday?
I got there at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah. And this woman was just raving and was just like, there's not a lot of young people like this anymore. Like, he's one of a kind. He's the best. Like, just like raving about this guy. And that's what it's all about. I mean, you have a homeowner that a week or two ago, you didn't know who they were. And now this woman like trusts you and like actually went out of her way to call me and just hype you up and leave a review on Google. I mean, it was just great. And like, when I hear that kind of stuff, gives me like a sense of, okay, I'm helping like you guys learn how to truly have the right outlook in this process. And you aren't here trying to make a quick dollar off these homeowners. Like, you actually want to help them. And that's like what you're truly trying to do is just help them. And it's just like, that's where if we have a group of guys that are all aligned, all just trying to help homeowners, if you help a ton of people, then as a result, you earn a lot of money too. But if you just are only locked in on you helping, you'll be able to help out like a lot of people because it won't feel like work. It won't be like I have to get up today and work a job that I hate. It's like, no, like you're helping these people and you're not chasing a commission check or whatever. Like, and because of that, you'll just want to keep helping these people. Whereas if you were just locked in on like you earning 12 grand a month or whatever it is, once you hit 12, you would stop, you would get kind of complacent. And like when you're only chasing the money, you'll quit. But if you're actually just trying to help people, you'll just keep going because you just want to help a ton of people. And then that's when you recruit people, you build a team, and then that team helps even more people. And now you are just like leading a group that is just helping a bunch of people, and it doesn't even work then. So like, I thought that was really cool that a homeowner went out of her way and reached out about him and just like how great of a dude he is. It isn't like, oh, he helped us with this, and this, like reached out and just explained like how great of a human being Mike is. And like you don't have that happen often. And when it does happen, it's just like, wow, that was really cool.
Yeah,
and like,
it was.
You like her as it was her and her husband, right?
Yep.
And they're probably pretty good people, right?
Oh, they're really good people.
So
great people.
You want to help them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that's what I love about this is like you have the option to pick and choose who you help. Like if a homeowner comes out and he's kind of a jerk, but like wants you to help him still, you can be like, dude, I don't want to help you. Like you're a jerk. Like, yeah, like get off my door, but look at my roof and just let me know how it is. Like you'll be like, no, I'm not going to get up there. But like when you have a person that's truly a good human being and they want your help, you want to help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think like that plays a big role in like how you're able to just keep going and keep rolling, and you don't get complacent or like you don't quit or take time off because you're just helping people over and over again. Like that's when, as long as you have the clear intention that like your only reasoning is just helping them, you won't quit. So like, yeah, I think that's really cool.
I think it's funny. I was gonna say, I think it's funny that you're saying like, you know, it's no longer a job because I've worked plenty of you know, regular jobs in the past. I also, you know, went to school and I had to get up pretty early for those too. Like I had to get up at 6:15 for school, and every time I woke up, I was dreading it. Yeah. But when I woke up that day, I was just like, I was ready to go. I just hopped out of bed, put my clothes on, went. And
a lot of guys here have kind of brought that up to me. How this isn't even like a job. Like
it's really
you've worked a job, Trace has worked a job, Mike, you guys have all like had real jobs or like not real jobs, but like
you're working for an hourly
like an hourly wage.
Yeah, exactly.
In this, it's like you work your own hours, but there's an expectation. And the expectation is that you'll help people whenever you can. And
for sure.
Whenever you can, like if you don't have any problems going on, like you're out there working, you're knocking, you're doing whatever you can. And a lot of the guys here love how like it isn't a job. It's just kind of like it sounds kind of cliche, but it's a lifestyle. Like
it's a game.
It is. It is. And it is a lifestyle as well, where like it's just like part of your routine now. Like you wake up, work out, train, hang out with us, then roll out, help people, go home, hang out again, go to bed, and you just do that over and over again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that isn't a job really. Like you only hate your job if the work you're doing isn't rewarding. Like if what you're working on every day isn't rewarding, then you'll hate your job.
Mm-hmm.
But if the work you're doing is rewarding, isn't even a job then.
Yeah, exactly.
You laughed again. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like that's, I mean, when I first joined, I mean, I was just like amazed at how, like, I mean, you're in control of like how many people you could talk to. If you're working like a normal routine job, it's pretty much the same day-to-day stuff every day. You have a time you go in, you have a time you clock out, you have a lunch break, whatever. But with this, it's like you have to hold yourself accountable. So you obviously, have to be up on your time management and everything in order to like, reach those goals that you want to help.
It's completely on you that like you work. And if you haven't worked a job where it's like only on you and you try it out, your level of responsibility just raises because you have to create your routine. Like when you have a regular job, like they give you the hours and you create your routine around those hours. But in this, you create your hours and your routine. And if you aren't really good at being able to manage your hours, then you won't be able to do this. I mean, you have to be able to be like, all right, I am hitting the gym at this time. I'm going to work out at this time. I'm going to read at this time. I'm going to work at this time. And like you have a routine process that you created. You're ahead of a lot of people when you can do that. Like a lot of people, they can't take that level of responsibility. So they just keep their regular job their whole life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to say that right now. Like, I think that's, you hit it out of the park there. I mean, the hardest part hasn't been, working for a lifetime. The hardest part is getting out of your original routine. So, with this, I'm still a young kid, I still have a lot of friends who are obviously, like hitting me up like, Mike, come do this. Mike, come hang out. Mike, let's go to the bar.
Old you.
Yeah. Like old me stuff. But at the same time, it's like, you have to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
Like exactly like you said, like you could choose, to go do those things and, waste your time doing that. But at the end of the day, you have to break those old habits in order to really succeed in this industry with anything door to door wise. I mean, you're pretty much out there, the entire day knocking, you're trying to help people. And at the end of it, I mean, you got to go home, you got to eat, you got to rehydrate, and you got to go to bed.
So you brought up how like you have people you used to hang out with hit you up and want you to do like the stuff you used to do, right? So how has working here changed your habits? You don't hang out with like those kind of people. You know what I mean by that? Like,
yeah. So I'll say especially, I mean, like working here has definitely changed my outlook on, trajectory wise of what I want in my future and in that time frame. And I would say the stuff that I was doing before was kind of limiting that and pushing it back. So obviously, people, you want to live in a nice house, you want to get married to a beautiful wife, you want to have children, and the things.
You got to cut the BS when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to cut the crap.
You got to get out of the old habits, and it's hard, obviously. But when I started working for a lifetime, I realized, it's not just a job, like it's a brotherhood. Like
you became like aligned with what you want, and like you were able to look at stuff with like a lot broader perspective,
big picture,
like a huge picture stuff. Like it wasn't, and this year I will get this degree, I'll get this job this year. Like you're looking at it like, what house do I want in this year now? Like who do I want to be around? Like who is the group that I'm hanging around with every day? Like you've now changed your habits, which then change you. And now you're working in alignment with like what you're going after instead of basically you're getting out of your own way.
Yep.
And you're breaking who you were in order to become who you want to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people get out of their own way so they can never actually get where they want. A lot of people ask, like, how did you get to where you are? Like, what were you doing in the beginning when you started? And I look at them and I'm like, like, it isn't like what I did, it's what I chose to not do.
Mm-hmm.
That got me here. Like, it's like when everyone else was whatever, drinking, partying, smoking, chasing girls, doing whatever, I literally just stopped doing all of that, like all of that. And just when you stop doing that, then you're like, well, what do I do now with my time?
Yep.
And then you realize, well, I can read, I can do this. Your old habits and what you used to do will get you to like where you want to be. But you just have to get rid of all the crap. And with the leftover time you have, use that on stuff that actually propels you to where you want to be. So I think that's like a big thing. And like how like you and I can kind of relate on this. Like, how huge was it to get out of your old home and the impact that like being around where like you grew up with those old habits to you now live in a home where you changed your environment, and when you change that, it's a lot easier to change your habits as well, correct? Like,
yeah,
when you
definitely
got out of your house, you got out of your parents, the expectations that they had, like, oh, you go to school, you get this job, you work this, you get a house, you do this, this, and this.
Oh my God.
You left that. And how has you just getting out of their house changed like your life in a way? I mean, it changed how you look at stuff. I imagine it changed how I did when I moved to Florida.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot more drastic for you. You moved like out of state.
Yeah, I
mean,
moved to Florida.
I just moved like out of town, like into my own house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say just like my normal routine and how I handle things. Like, I mean, you just have to be a man about it. You obviously have to, wake up early. I go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And then after that, I go to our team meetings and I go to work. And, I chose to move out of my parents' house, not because like I didn't like living there.
Of course.
But I just didn't like, the spot that I was at. I obviously thought there was more out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that if I had like this safety net, like, oh, I'm just going to live with my parents. They'll pay for my food.
Zero pressure.
Yeah. Zero pressure whatsoever. And that's what I told my mom when I was moving out. She was asking me, she's like, why are you moving out? Like, you still got 2 years left of college. Like, we don't care that you live here. We're not pushing you out. And I was like, well, I just need to do this for myself. Like, I need to put some pressure on me. I can't just, be waking up at, 10 o'clock in the morning and then
That's sick.
Doing whatever. Like, I actually have to, hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
And when I moved out, I mean, that's exactly what I did. I woke up early, changed my whole routine. I have to buy my own groceries. I have to pay my rent. I have to do all that. I mean, you have to be a grown adult about it. You can't just
laundry too, man.
Oh yeah.
Fold the laundry.
I've been folding my laundry. My mom had never had to do that for me. But yeah, I mean, it was a big impact and change on my perspective. And originally I remember back in, what was it, January, when we started talking about this, when you recruited me.
Yeah,
it was like January. Yeah, I remember, because that's when I was living with my parents. And you called, I remember you called me and Scott.
Yeah.
And you were kind of going over things. And, I got off that call and I was thinking, I was just like, okay, this is an opportunity that I don't think I could pass up on. Yeah. Like, in that time, I had a lot of opportunities to work different jobs. Yeah. 9 to 5s and, make, good money. But this one just like, it really caught my eye, because I was like, well, it's not only, just about making money. You're actually like helping people. You're improving the integrity of their home and their living status. And then also in result, the work's not just going to come to you. You have to go get it. You have to go out. You have to hunt for it. You got to go chase it.
It's like a sport.
Exactly.
If you like sports, it's like what this is.
Yeah.
It's like a sport.
It's like you're accountable. If you want to, make it work, you have to do it. Like, no one's going to sit there and tell you, okay, go do this. And then after you're done with that, go do that. And then at the end of the day, you clock out. It's like, no, here's
you don't
the
have
format.
Anything promised. There's nothing
nothing promised, but what is promised is, here's the format. This is how you do it. It's up to you if you want to do it. And I love that. That type of work just hypes me up.
So like, it's a sport. And like when you go out there, you have a chance to get 0 yeses, to just have a horrible day and absolute donut. Like you have a chance that happens. And it is only because of that chance that when you actually get like a yes, it's like you're playing a sport. Like when you play a sport, there's a chance you run the ball and you lose whatever, 12 yards, 10 yards on a run. There's also a chance you freaking take it to the house. Yeah. And that's why when you do take it to the house, or in this case, have a home run, I was like, yeah, do it. And you get a yes. It's like a sport. It's like, here we go. They get all fired up.
You get fired up.
And then everyone does too. Like if you get a yes, if he gets yes, if whoever does, everyone gets hyped because we're all helping people. So like, that's where you have to have the chance of you getting 0 in order to when you actually get like a yes, or you actually get a huge win, that it's hype.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exhilarating because it's with it all in life. Like you have to have highs and lows, or else it would always be high. It would always have a low. Like if it's always a high, it just doesn't work like that. Yeah. Like you have to have like one day where you get destroyed in order to actually love when you get like yeses. So that's why like it makes you appreciate it to where like, okay, like this was one of those days where brought me back down. And then when you get brought back up, just try to hold it as long as you can, but you know, eventually it's going to crash back down and you got to do it again. So it's like, if you look at it like that with the highs and lows, you won't quit. Like you'll understand this is just like the process. Like you lose some, you win some. Like it's part of the process, and you just got to keep rolling, keep going, because once in a while, like you'll win. Like you'll take it to the house. Yep. Every once in a while, you'll take it to the house. So like you just got to keep going and get through it. And that's a huge part of like when you get out of your, at least to me, like your parents, they don't understand, one, because if you don't want what they have, you can't expect them to understand like what you're actually trying to achieve. Like if you don't want exactly what they have, it's hard to get them to understand what you want, right? If you choose to listen to like what they want you to do, you can't complain when like you are exactly where they are. Yep. And it's just like they don't want to hurt you. Like they want to give you the path to where like you can't get hurt. Like you go to school, you do this, you'll get a job, you'll be okay. Like it is just within them that they want to protect you.
Yep,
That's
exactly.
all they are trying to do is protect you. They love you, but you got to realize like, okay, if you actually like want this, you'll have to be okay with them with them not being able to understand why you're on this path. Like, and that happened to me like when I left back in 2022 across the country and stuff. There was about a 3-month span where like they'd always be like, hey, like won't work out. Like you can always come home, go to school, like yada, 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 that kind of stuff. And I just really wouldn't even look at it. I would just look at the text and just freaking get off of it right away. And then I left in like July of 2022 and I came home randomly in like September of 2022. And I had like 29 grand. And I was just like, hey, it's going well. And after that, they didn't say a word. So like once you just like prove to them and like prove to them that you're genuinely working your hardest, trying to accomplish stuff every day. Like if you're like, hey, Mom, Dad, this is what I am going to do. Like, this is what it is. I am doing this. It isn't like, hey, I'm going to try to work here. It's no like, this is what we're doing. And then like you wake up every day, you leave early, you work out, you work all day, you get home really late every day. And they watch you do it over and over and over again and again. It's like, okay, like he's actually working. Like he isn't just trying to get this lifestyle. Like he's going to do it. Like he's up early, he's working out, he's working hard. And it just proves to them that you'll do whatever it takes to actually get to where you want. And that was why it was huge when I left to go across the country. Right when I chose that, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Like, this is it, I'm doing. And that was hard. But I instantly, whenever anyone like walked up to me and was like, hey, like, where are you going to school? I would just tell them right then and there, not going to school. I'm moving across the country. And at one point, it was whoever I spoke to, it just happened to come into what we were speaking about. When you verbalize what you're doing to the public, and like they have an expectation that like this is what you're gonna do, you like have to do it. Like once you are like, hey, I'm doing this, and you tell like 100 people and you don't do it,
yeah,
you're gonna look like
a liar. Yeah.
And you'll prove to you and everyone else that like you don't believe in yourself because your words hold zero value. Like you being like, hey, we're doing this, and you don't do it, proves to people that like your words like have zero value. So like if you want to start working out, hitting the gym, working like really hard, you have to speak it out like, hey, we're hitting the gym at this day, this time tomorrow, and you're going to get up and you're going to do it. So like that was huge to where that helped escape like the expectations that your parents have. Like a lot of like the 20-year-olds here like won't do what they want because of their parents and the expectation they have on them. Like they literally will live their 20s completely based on their parents' expectations. You know what? I'm 18 now. And that's what hit me is like, I'm 18. I'm not a kid, technically. I'm an adult now. Like I'm an adult. I can just leave if I want. Like they can't hold me hostage here anymore. Like if I want to leave, I'm going to leave. You'll either trust me and love me or don't talk to me. Like, but I'm going to leave. Like this is what is happening. And a lot of kids can't because they're in control, because their parents are in control, because they still pay for their car or their everything. Yep. So if you let them handle all your expenses, then yes, they control you. But if you explain to them, hey, I'm not afraid to go homeless. Like I'm leaving. Like I'm out. I'm not afraid. If you don't want to help me, cool. I'll just leave. I'll be homeless, and I'll just go leave and I'll go work. But a lot of kids, they can't get out of it. And then 20 years roll through and then they're like, what'd I just do? Like the past 20 years, I lived out their dream of what they wanted instead of actually what I wanted. And that's why I always look at stuff as if I'm like, a lot of it, I ask myself like, what would the old version of Anthony like look at this like when I'm 80 years old and I'm going to die, like how would he view this? He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't give a crap. He's just living, dude, because he understands he's about to die. Like he knows like this is it. And he's just out there living with zero regrets at all. And if this person's like, oh, what you're doing stupid, he's like, I don't care, dude. I'm going to die anyways. Like, I don't care. And it's just like, if you look at that stuff like that as a 20-year-old, you'll end up living the life that you want instead of the life they want you to live. And you just explain to them like, hey, this is what I want. It isn't about what you want. I'm an adult. And you have a true convo with your parents like a grown man. And you tell them, this is what I want. It's my life. Like, yeah, I'm doing this, and that's it. And then they're gonna be like, whoa, like where did he come from? Like he went like a kid to like a man. And once it hits that pretty early on, the rest of your life you live on your own accord. And a lot of people, they speak about like you truly become a man on either two occasions. When your dad dies, you become a man because you realize, okay, he isn't there anymore, and he passes, and you become a man then. Or you realize you can just choose to become a man and just choose to operate like a grown adult and choose to live the life that you want instead of the life that he wants you to live. And it can either happen when he dies and you're like, okay, he isn't here anymore. Like, this is what I want to do. Or you realize that when you're 20 years old and you live the life that you want at a very young age. And trust me, it's a lot better when you live on your own accord instead of theirs. So like, have you had an experience like that was, or like, have you began to start to feel that kind of experience where like you're out here, you're working hard, you're making a lot of money, you're handling your own bills. Like in reality, you don't have to have them anymore in terms of like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Like
I will say, like, yeah, I'll say, you know, early on, I love my parents like super much. That they're both great people, but I've had to pay for my schooling and my own car. So I mean, the only thing that they were really providing for me was food and shelter, the basic necessities, which I'm extremely grateful for. No complaints there. But that kind of, you know, allowed me to have a little bit more freedom in this decision. And what I think a lot of people, like you were saying, struggle with is they're tied down to their parents. You know, the parents pay for the car, the gas, the food, the home, the vacations, everything under the sun. With me, all I really had was, you know, the home and the food inside the home, which I am still to this day very grateful for. But when I chose, you know, okay, I'm going to leave and live on my own terms, they really couldn't say anything because I was already paying for my car. I'm already paying for my school. I pay for my gas, I pay for my insurance, pay for my phone bill. There's really nothing left after that.
That's great.
So like cutting that tie really allowed me.
I mean, take care of your parents, dude. That's good.
I'm going to try my best to eventually.
You will.
But yeah, with that, it was kind of like, I mean, both my parents have respect for what I'm doing. None of them have really kind of come after me, but like, I mean, my mom was skeptical at first because like she was a little concerned. She's my mom. But my dad, you know, every time I see him, he's like pretty proud of me, and I could feel it with him. I mean, he's not really a guy that like, you know, dudes don't really show their emotions, but my dad, I could tell he looks at me a little bit differently now.
Same actually. My dad definitely looks at me a little different. He's a man. He freaking.
They don't express it. They don't ever say. They don't ever say I love.
Proud.
I love you.
That look.
Like, they just have that proud. You know, their chest like, I'm proud of you, son.
Yeah. Oh, dude, when they say that hits. It does. You know that hits.
It does hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I feel like a lot of people struggle with, you know, cutting those ties because it's comfortable. I mean,
so the worst case of that, like the worst, is when your parents like hang carrot in front of your face and they're like, hey, if you do this path, we'll give you this. Like if your parents have a lot of money and they want you to live the life that they want you to live. And if you choose to not live it, they're going to pull the carrot right away.
Yep.
They're going to pull it off and
Reel
say,
it
hey,
right
you
back.
get zero of our inheritance. You get $0. Like if you live the life that like you want, like you're not getting any help by us. Like that's when it's just like, dude, like that's messed up. Like you would want your kid to live the life that like he dreams of, like at least how I'm like, when I become a parent, like the money that I make won't be held over my kid's head to get them to operate the way that I want them to. But obviously I will try to help them. The end of it is up to them to like pick and choose what kind of life they want that'll give them the most fulfillment, where at the end of it they're like, I lived a great life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's when it's bad, is like when you have parents that literally pay for your kids' stuff, for all of their kids' stuff, and they hang a carrot, and if you don't go to school and get this degree and get this job, they're going to pull it away. That's just really messed up. And I as a kid, or as a son who is now like a 20-year-old, like you got to speak to your parents like a grown man and not like a kid, or else you'll be treated like one, and then like they'll control your life, you know? So like that's when it's like the worst, is when you see stuff like that, where that kid will live his whole life afraid to do what he actually wants. And then when his parents pass away is when he'll actually live the life that he wants. When his parents pass, he'll be like, I can do whatever I want now. Oh.
Yeah.
Like, right? Like,
yeah, I mean,
why?
It might be too late at that point.
And then, yeah. And like, why does it have to come to that? Like, why can't you just speak to your parents like a man and explain to them and live your life with them in unison, helping you out along the process? You know what I mean? So like, that's when it's really bad though, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean,
it's one of those things that it's hard to get out of, but I mean, at the end of it, if like, you know, you stay true to your word and you do the things that you got to do, your parents are, I mean, they have an unconditional love for you. No matter what your dad or mom says to you, deep down, they still love you.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things where they're really just trying to protect you.
Yeah.
And my parents have done a great job of that throughout my life, is really, you know, trying to put me in the right situations, raising me right. And that kind of helps.
You got raised. The problem comes in when they pay for all your stuff. They pay for everything. You're tied down. Your parents didn't really do that. So you were able to just leave. Yeah. And it wasn't like they were already handling all your stuff. Like you handled a lot of it and then you got out. But that's where like a lot of the problems come from, or when you have these parents that in their head, they're like helping their kids, you know, but in reality, it's probably hurting them that they're paying for everything and their kid has zero responsibility. You see, when you're a kid, how I look at it a lot too, is like when you're a kid, you being a kid is just you having zero responsibility. You grow up when you have more responsibility. Like you grow into who you want to become when you bring on responsibility into your life. So when you're 21 years old and your parents are still paying everything, you still have zero responsibility, and your parents are actually hurting you by that, like big time hurting you. Oh yeah. And that's why like it's huge that you have parents that let you pay for a lot of your stuff instead of just them paying for everything, so that when you're on your own, you're not screwed. Yeah. And
I could not say how. I told my dad this because I mean my I have like a lot of siblings, and you know I don't know how both my mom and him did it, but I told my dad like about like a couple months ago, I was like, I would not change a single thing that you did to me raising me. because it was, I mean,
probably the best compliment he's ever received.
Oh yeah. He was so happy to hear that. But I was being truthful. I was telling him, I was like, if I was, a kid where you gave me everything, like you gave me a car, or you gave me an apartment, paid for my school, like, why would I want to do the things I want to do? You're giving me comfort. And the hardest thing to do in your life is really just leave that comfort zone. So if it's already established and it's supplied by people you love, like people, I mean, I have dudes who are telling me like, oh yeah, my grandma died and I have a trust fund now that I can just pull from. And I'm like, okay, like that's great. But I'm also, this is no offense to them, but I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, but like, I would not want to be living the life you're living right now because you have no responsibility, you have no accountability, and it's, not an attack on them. I mean, we're all still pretty young. We still have plenty of time to figure it out. But at the same time, it's like, this is the time to do it. Yeah. If you're going to, you want to be, the man that you want to become, it's like, you got to do it in the early stages. It's not just like, one day you wake up and it's like, all right, today I'm going to become a millionaire. I'm going to become a man. I'm going to do this. It's like, no, it's a process, and the process sucks. The process isn't, fun. It's hard, but you got to keep going. Exactly. Once you add more responsibility, and I would say from when I was like 14 years old, my parents gave me so, even at a young age, they gave me so much responsibility, whether it's, like chores, watching my siblings, or just like doing stuff. Like, I mean, I was raised like textbook, like stuff they would do back in the 60s. Like, and my dad was no joke, but it really does help. And I mean, kids nowadays, I mean, they have a freaking iPad in their hand, 24/7, just walking around, screen times. Yeah.
Like the little kids with the iPads at dinner. Yeah.
They have cell phones, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. I mean, and it's poison, like it's straight poison. Yeah. And I mean, at the time you don't realize it, but this kid is growing up and, all he's looking at is a screen, zero responsibility. And then when he's 20 years old or 20, 30, whatever, and your parents are looking at me like, well, why are you still living in my basement? Yeah. It's like, well, this is how you raised him. He had no accountability, no responsibility, no sense of reality. And now he's, a druggie. He smokes all day, drinks, he's angry, he's pissed off, he's not happy, he doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have any hope. It's not, I mean, it is his fault, but it's also, how he was raised. Yeah. And it's hard to break those habits of like, how you're raised. I mean, I know a lot of my friends, a lot of their parents pay for their car, pay for their schooling or whatever it is. But eventually, I mean, you're going to have to, in order to become what you want to become and do the things you want to do, like you just have to say no to those things. And that's extremely hard.
And that is a great way to end it, because in order to become the man you need to become, you have to willingly accept responsibility and keep adding responsibility onto your plate if you want to become the man you need to be.